Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are going to be talking all about AI.
Turbocharging your brand with the power of AI.
Yeah,
That's what we're talking about.
we are diving deep into Prompt for Brands,
Yes.
a book that seems to be making some waves. I'm really excited to get into it. It's all about using these AI tools that everyone's heard of now, your chat GPTs of the world, to actually build better brands.
Yeah, you're right. It is causing a stir,
Yeah.
this book. And for good reason, I think.
Yeah.
It takes a very grounded approach, which is really refreshing, I find, in a space that can be a little bit,
Yeah, hyped up.
yeah, a little bit hyped up, a little
Totally.
bit
No.
sort of, pie in the sky.
Yeah.
This is very much about, okay, this is a tool. This is how we can use it. This is how it fits into what we're already doing.
It's not about the robot takeover.
Exactly.
It's about AI becoming your secret weapon.
Yeah.
Your little sidekick,
Exactly.
that helps you work. Smarter, not harder.
And they even have this analogy in the book that I really like. They call these tools, specifically language models, electric bikes for the mind,
Okay, I love that.
which I thought was very catchy.
So explain that to me. How is AI like an electric bike for my brand?
Well, think about an electric bike, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't replace your ability to cycle.
Right?
It enhances it. It helps you go further, faster, maybe tackle those hills with a little bit more ease.
Yeah.
But you're still the one in control. You're steering, you're pedaling, you're making the decisions.
That's such a good point, because I think there's this fear, right?
Yeah.
That it's surrendering control. But really, this is about amplifying what you're already doing.
Exactly.
So if we think about that in the world of brands, how does this electric bike analogy actually play out?
Well, imagine being able to analyze mountains of customer data in seconds,
Okay.
or generate dozens of compelling tagline options with a single prompt.
Right.
These tools can handle those heavy lifting tasks, freeing you up to focus on the strategy, the creativity, the building of meaningful connections with your audience.
It's like having an army of interns
Yes.
working behind the scenes
Tirelessly.
tirelessly. But here's the thing. I hear from people, they're like, okay, that sounds great in theory, but how do I actually use this in my day-to-day work?
That's where what they call the prompting mindset comes in. And the book does a really good job of breaking that down into this really, I think, practical framework, the 4 Ps: preparation, prompting, process, and proficiency.
Okay. I love a good framework. It makes everything seem manageable. So let's unpack those P's, starting with preparation. What does that even mean in the context of let's say developing a brand campaign?
So preparation is all about setting yourself up for success before you even go near one of these AI tools. Before you even think about typing a prompt, you need to get really, really clear on your goals. What are you actually trying to achieve with this campaign? Who are you trying to reach? What message are you trying to convey? And it's only once you have that clarity that you can then start to think about, okay, what is the information that the AI needs to do its thing?
Right. It's like you're giving a brief to a creative team.
Exactly.
Except in this case, your creative team is this super intelligence.
Yes.
So once we have that brief together, then what? That's where prompting comes in.
Exactly. And prompting is all about learning how to communicate effectively with these tools.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like learning a new language almost.
Yeah.
You need to understand the syntax, the nuances,
Yeah.
the best ways to phrase your requests to get back what you're actually looking for.
So it's not as simple as just being write me a tagline.
You'll get something back, but it might not be what you want.
It's not just magic.
No.
Okay.
There's an art to it. And the book, thankfully, goes pretty deep into this. There's tons of examples, even specific prompt templates
Oh, wow.
that you can adapt.
So it's like having a secret decoder ring to unlock the AI's brain.
And like anything, the more you do it, the better you get at it.
Totally. Okay, so we've got our preparation, we've got our prompting down. What about process? Is this where things get messy?
Not necessarily messy, but it's definitely iterative. The process of working with these tools is all about experimentation, refinement. You're not necessarily going to nail it on the first try, and that's okay. It's about trying different prompts, tweaking your approach, and really guiding the AI towards that output that sings.
So it's like sculpting.
Yes.
You're starting with a block of clay. In this case, it's the AI's first output.
Exactly.
And then you're molding it and shaping it until it's like chef's kiss.
You're the artist. I love that analogy because it really highlights that human touch, which is still so essential. You're the artist, you're the director, you're guiding the AI's creative process and ensuring that the final product is something that truly aligns with your vision.
Which brings us to our final P, proficiency. This is where it all comes together.
Yeah, this is where the magic really happens, I think, because proficiency is about mastering the art of blending your capabilities, your knowledge, your expertise with what the AI can bring to the table. It's about taking that initial spark of an idea and then using your knowledge and creativity to shape it into something special.
Okay, so what you're saying is I can't just feed this thing my entire brand strategy brief and be like, all right, go make me a campaign.
It would be nice, wouldn't
That
it?
would be so nice.
It's not quite as simple as that. But what the book does talk about is how you can use these tools at all stages of that process.
All right.
So from like right at the beginning, understanding your audience, all the way to developing your ideas and even how you're going to take it to market. There are applications at all those different levels.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So this is starting to sound less like a tech manual and more like a cheat code for like brand dominance.
Really?
And speaking of cheat codes, one of the things that really struck me was how the book talks about these almost like surprising ways that these tools can help us. Like, did you know that there's research showing these things can boost job satisfaction?
Yeah.
Like what?
I know. And not just by a little bit. Like, we're talking significant margins. Like, the book cited a bunch of studies where people using these tools were completing tasks something like 37% faster, producing higher quality work,
Yeah.
and reporting feeling, less bogged down by the tedious aspects of their work,
Yeah.
and more able to focus on the creative, strategic stuff that, really gets them going.
Which makes total sense because I think we've all been there when you're just like drowning in emails or you're like stuck on some task that's just like sucking the life out of you.
His life force.
And like imagine if you could just like hand that off to your AI assistant and then your brain is freed up to actually like think and strategize and, enjoy your job again.
And it's not just about the individual, right?
No.
Because that increased efficiency, that creativity, that, frankly, happiness, then has these ripple effects across teams and across organizations.
Okay, I'm sold on the happier part. But I do want to talk about the better and quicker part. Because the book talks about this example of how AI was used to transform something as detail-oriented and, frankly, kind of boring as writing post-operative notes in a plastic surgery practice.
Okay.
Who knew AI could be so precise?
Yeah, it's a great example. Like, even something like that,
Yeah.
which you wouldn't think
Yeah,
is ripe for this kind of,
totally. So tell me more about these post-op notes, because I feel like when I think like creative brand building and plastic surgery, those two things don't really go together.
I know, right? But that's what makes it such a good example.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it's like, if it can work in this context,
Yeah.
think about all the other things.
That's all right.
So the book talks about how, surgeons were spending an average of 7 minutes after each surgery just like dictating these notes, writing these notes.
Okay, but that's valuable time.
Yeah, exactly. Time that could be spent with patients on other things.
7 minutes adds up.
It really does. And so they started using a language model. And that 7-minute task was reduced to like a 5-second prompt
Wow.
where they just give the AI the key details.
Yeah.
And it generates this complete, accurate report.
Okay, so hold on. It's faster and it's more accurate.
And oftentimes, the reports were actually better
What?
than the human-written ones.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
That almost feels like unfair.
It's pretty remarkable. And it really highlights how good these tools are at these very detail-oriented, repetitive tasks that, frankly, our brains are not that good at.
Right, we get bored.
Yeah, we get bored. We
Yeah.
get tired. We get distracted.
Mm.
And so by taking on that cognitive load, it frees us up to focus on the things that we are good at. The creativity, the strategy, the relationship building, in this case, like the patient relationships.
And that's a great point because it goes back to that like electric bike analogy.
Yes.
It's not replacing us. It's just giving us those tools to be better, faster, happier
Exactly.
at what we do.
And so to bring that back to your world, to your work, think about what are the post-operative notes in your own work? What are the 7-minute tasks that you could potentially streamline with AI? And then what would it look like to free up that time and energy for the more strategic, creative work that actually requires you?
Work smarter, not harder. It's giving work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
But before we like completely lose our minds with all the possibilities,
Yeah.
I do want to touch on something that I think will be really reassuring to some of our listeners.
Okay.
You don't need to be like a tech whiz
No.
to use these tools.
No. In fact, one of the things the book emphasizes is that this prompt mindset, as they call it, it's for everyone.
Okay.
It's for marketers, it's for CEOs, it's for people just starting their careers.
I love that.
It's not about, like, are you good with technology? It's about, do you understand these core principles, and are you willing to experiment and find what works for you?
So it's like more of a mindset shift
Totally.
than like becoming a coding guru.
Exactly. And in fact, one of the things I love about this is it can really level the playing field. Someone just starting their career
Mm.
can use these tools to produce work that's, at least in terms of those fundamental elements, on par with someone who's been doing this for 20 years.
Okay, I love that. It's
Yeah.
like everyone gets a little boost,
Exactly.
a secret weapon.
Yeah.
But let's talk about like the elephant in the room, or I guess the chatbot in the room.
Okay.
A lot of people, when they think of AI, they still think of it as that like chatbot.
Right.
That's good for like answering, trivia questions, writing a silly poem. Right.
How does this book go beyond that, like, limited view?
It's so much more than that. And
Yeah.
the book does a really good job, I think, of showing how broad the applications for this are across the entire brand building process.
Okay.
Like from the get-go.
Yeah.
Give me an example.
Yeah.
There's a whole chapter dedicated to using AI for market research, for understanding your audience.
Okay, see, now that's interesting to me
Yeah.
because how can AI help me understand my audience better?
Well, imagine being able to analyze like mountains of customer reviews,
Yeah,
social
right.
media chatter, even like transcripts of customer interviews, all in a fraction of the time it would take you as a human to do it.
Yeah, no, that's like weeks of work.
Exactly. And so these tools can sift through all of that and extract those golden nuggets.
Right. The unmet needs, the frustrations, even those desires that your audience themselves might not even be able to articulate to you.
It's like having a team of like super powered analysts
Exactly.
working around the clock, uncovering these like deep-seated customer like motivations.
Exactly.
But I have to ask because, okay, let's say I have all this data.
Yeah.
I'm just like mainlining data into my veins.
Right.
How do I make sense of it? Do I just like dump it all into the AI and I'm like, all right, tell me what it means?
That's where that prompting part we talked about earlier
okay.
comes in.
Right.
It's not enough to have the data.
Yeah.
You need to know how to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
How to frame your requests
Yep.
in a way that the AI can understand and respond to.
It's like you have a brilliant but slightly eccentric research assistant.
Exactly.
And you need to learn like, how do I speak to this person?
Yes. How do I manage that?
How do I give them the instructions to get what I need?
Exactly. And so the book actually gives a bunch of examples of prompts that you can use,
Oh, nice.
that you can adapt for your brand, your data.
Mm.
Even things like how to use AI to actually identify and name your customer segments, which is something that can take, weeks or months
Yeah.
of traditional market research.
Totally.
No.
So not only is it faster, it's potentially more insightful.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just like scratching the surface.
Wow. Okay.
The book goes on to explore how do you use it for developing your go-to-market strategy? How do you use it to craft your brand messaging to resonate with that audience?
This is really starting to sound like a game changer.
Yeah.
For like the entire process. Yeah.
But I do have to ask, if AI can do all this amazing stuff, like, are marketers going to be out of a job soon?
Yeah, it's a question a lot of people ask, right?
Yeah.
And the book actually addresses this head on. They're very clear. AI is not about replacing human marketers. It's about empowering them. It's about giving them the tools to be more effective, more creative, and frankly, to have more fun doing what they do.
Right, because no one actually got into marketing to file papers.
I hope not.
Like, nobody wants to do that.
Exactly.
So, yeah, free up your time for the fun stuff.
Exactly.
I think that is a really important message. Because there is so much fear and uncertainty around AI, this book paints a very, optimistic
Yeah, it does.
future where technology and human expertise can work together to do some pretty amazing things.
Yeah. And we're really just at the start, I think. Yeah.
Of what's possible. So who knows? As we get better at understanding these tools and using them, what kind of creative sparks will come out of it?
Okay. I'm ready to start experimenting. But before we go there, I do want to talk about some of the more unexpected applications of AI for brands because okay, market research, messaging, that's starting to feel obvious. But the book hinted at some even wilder possibilities?
Totally. And it's those unexpected applications that I think really spark those breakthroughs.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the book talks about using AI for what they call targeted partnerships. So basically, how do you find those collaborations that can help you reach a whole new audience?
Okay, so give me an example. How would that even work?
Okay, let's say you're like a protein bar company. Right. And you're looking to reach a broader audience
Okay.
than just your sort of like typical fitness enthusiast.
Right.
Right. You could feed the AI information about your brand, your
Yeah.
target demographics, even information on your competitors, and say, find me partners
Okay.
who align with these goals.
So instead of me just being like, well, let's partner with like a gym
Exactly.
or like a fitness influencer, it might be like, what?
It might surface something completely out of left field, like a partnership with a podcast
Okay. Yeah.
that you would never have thought of, or like a clothing brand that's maybe got a similar ethos around sustainability.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Right. So things that you might not have even considered.
It's like the AI can see those like hidden
Connections.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Connections that like as a human, I'm just like too like myopic.
Yeah.
Like you can only see like right in front of me, but it's making these leaps.
And they even give examples of how to use AI to then pitch those partnerships,
Wow.
to generate those proposals.
Okay. This is blowing my mind because it's going beyond just like automating tasks. It's literally expanding my creative horizons.
Totally.
And I'm finding these like innovative solutions.
And that's what gets me excited, is that it's not just about, let's make this 2% more efficient.
Right.
It's like, how do we completely rethink how we approach this?
Yeah.
And maybe come up with something that we never would have come up with on our own.
Okay. So we've talked about how AI can help these big brands be even bigger, better, faster, stronger. But one of the things that really struck me was, you know, this isn't just for the big players. This technology, it's not just for brands with like tons of money and resources.
Exactly. And the book actually talks about that. The potential for AI to empower like startups,
Yes.
entrepreneurs.
That's what I want to dig into because
Yeah.
that's super interesting to me because I feel like there's this perception that AI is really expensive.
Yeah.
Like you need a whole team of engineers.
Totally.
But this book is suggesting otherwise.
It is, and it really focuses on that.
Okay.
That it's actually a tool that can really empower those people.
Okay, how so? Give me an example.
Okay, let's say you're like a passionate foodie and you've always wanted to open a restaurant.
Okay.
Right. You've got that dream, but you're struggling to find that unique concept.
Right, like what's going to make you stand out?
Yeah, exactly, because it's a crowded market.
Totally.
So where do you even begin?
Yeah, because that feels very overwhelming.
Totally. And you can spend weeks or months just brainstorming or researching.
Right.
But this is where AI comes in.
Okay, how so?
You could feed the AI information about your city's dining scene. What are the current culinary trends out there? Even your own personal tastes, and say, give me some ideas.
Wow. So instead of spending all that time like doing focus groups and like, I don't know, going to every restaurant in town,
Yeah.
you can just feed it to the AI.
Essentially, you're giving it like a crash course in your culinary vision.
Interesting.
And then what's really cool is the AI can analyze all that information and start generating restaurant concepts,
Okay.
some of which might be totally unexpected right out of left field.
It's like AI is my like, you know, creative muse in the kitchen.
Exactly.
Like brainstorming all these ideas I never would have thought of.
Exactly. And not just the initial idea. It can also help you develop your menu craft, your brand story, even like come up with a name for the restaurant.
So it's like having a team of like expert chefs and restaurant consultants, but like digital,
Exactly.
like at my beck and call.
Available 24/7.
And presumably much cheaper.
Probably.
Okay, so it's not just restaurants, right? This could be like any kind of business.
Any industry.
If I want to start a fashion brand, if I want to, I don't know, create an app,
Whatever it is.
the same principles apply.
Exactly. You just feed it the information and see what it comes up with.
It's like having a secret weapon
Yes.
in this like battle to innovate.
Totally. And the best part is that weapon is accessible to anyone.
Right, you don't need a fancy degree.
You don't have to be a tech genius at all.
You just need wifey.
Exactly.
And a willingness to like learn and experiment.
And an open mind?
And an open mind, yes.
Because who knows what you might discover.
This has been so eye-opening. I feel like everyone listening is probably like, where do I sign up?
I know. I'm excited to hear what people come up with.
Me too. And I think the best place to start is to pick up a copy of Prompt for Brands.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic resource.
It is, don't be intimidated. This book is for everyone.
Even if you're not a tech person at all.
Exactly, because if AI can help surgeons write their post-op notes and help foodies like me open their dream restaurant,
The possibilities are endless.
the possibilities are endless. Imagine what it can do for your brand. And that's a wrap on today's deep dive into the world of Prom and PT for brands. Until next time, keep those creative sparks flying.